for that statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since this is the first time I am taking the floor in the Council this year, I'd like to congratulate the Dominican Republic on its presidency and express our assurances that you will conduct them at an extremely high level, conduct your presidency. Mr. President, we are grateful to the Special Envoy of the Secretary General, Mr. Griffiths, on the report on the changes in the military and political situation in Yemen in the light of the Stockholm Agreement. We are also grateful to USG Mark Lowcock for his detailed briefing of the humanitarian situation, from which it's clear that Yemen and its people are experiencing a serious humanitarian disaster. It's clear that the long-term conflict has not been stopped over the last few weeks since the agreement started to be implemented, and many of us helped the Special Envoy reach agreement on this in Sweden. We're not expecting instantaneous results. Rather, we're continuing to work with Martin and the parties to the conflict in Yemen to implement these agreements swiftly. The groundwork has been laid to start this. The Redeployment Coordination Committee has been set up, headed up by General Kamek. The committee's meetings are complicated, but they are taking place, and this is having an impact on a decrease in violence around the Yemeni city and port of Hodeidah. Further discussions are taking place on the methodology for implementing mutual understanding on prisoner exchange and de-escalation in Thais. We endorse the increased efforts to expand the UN presence in Yemen. We support the UNSC's initiative to set up a new mission to support the implementation of the Hodeidah Agreement. We believe that it will help the further mediation efforts of Martin Griffiths, including in terms of organizing a new round of consultations. We deem it important for the government of the Yemeni Republic and the Ansar Allah movement to maintain their resolve to reach compromises on disagreements, including those political matters which the parties have not yet started to consider. Of course, much depends on the parties sticking to agreements already reached. We all need to continue collective and bilateral work to support the work of Martin on the political track. At the same time, we must not stop parallel efforts to improve the humanitarian situation in Yemen. As Mark Lowcock reminded us today, this is continuing to deteriorate every day. Millions of Yemenis are starving and are unable to access medication, services, and many of them need some kind of assistance. The cost of rebuilding the country's devastated economy will only increase. Russia, like many other UN member states, including Yemen's close neighbors, is continuing to make its contribution to assist the Yemeni people. We are, however, working in a non-discriminatory fashion. Humanitarian assistance must be provided to all those in need in Yemen, irrespective of who controls the territory where they live. We trust that this principle is guiding other humanitarian partners in Yemen as well. In conclusion, once again, we draw attention to the benefit that could be brought by an improvement in the overall atmosphere in the region. This could really help to solve the situation in Yemen and other crises in the Middle East and North Africa. The policies of confrontation and aggressive competition must give way to dialogue and mutual understanding inter alia by creating a unified security architecture. It is our shared duty to help regional players to start this process. The Russian security and trust concept for the Persian Gulf is, in our opinion, a good basis for joint efforts in this area. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the